What if everything you thought you knew about science fiction was wrong? The 90s gave us some of the most misunderstood, disastrous sci-fi films, but today they're revered as masterpieces. From bizarre predictions about technology to mind-bending realities, these films are hiding secrets you won't believe. You won't just watch, you'll question everything. Stick around until the end because the most shocking of them all might change how you see sci-fi forever. Starship Troopers, 1997. What happens when a film, seemingly nothing more than a mindless action flick, turns out to be one of the most intelligent satirical commentaries on war and fascism? When Starship Troopers first hit theaters in 1997, critics trashed it for its over-the-top violence and thin story. What they missed, though, was Paul Verhoeven's biting social critique wrapped in layers of absurdity and humor. Over time, Starship Troopers has evolved into a cult classic, celebrated for its dark humor, sharp commentary on militarism and propaganda. The film is anything but shallow. It's a masterclass in satire, cleverly disguised as a big-budget action spectacle. The more you look, the more you uncover. A chilling reflection of real-world politics wrapped in intergalactic warfare. With each rewatch, the film's brilliance becomes clearer as its subversive themes continue to resonate. Starship Troopers didn't just push boundaries, it forced audiences to confront uncomfortable truths. Now it's a must-watch for anyone who thinks sci-fi can't be both entertaining and socially conscious. It's the kind of film that stays with you challenging your assumptions about war, power, and the cost of blind obedience. Dark City, 1998. At first glance, Dark City may seem like just another dark, moody sci-fi thriller, overshadowed by The Matrix, which came out the same year. But peel back the layers and you realize Dark City is much more than a film. It's an immersive journey into the very nature of reality. When the film debuted in 1998, audiences were confused by its intricate plot and noir aesthetic. But what seemed like a mystery film turned into a philosophical masterpiece that questions the boundaries of memory, identity, and existence itself. This wasn't just about action or flashy visuals, it was about exploring the human psyche and its relationship to the constructed world. The film's narrative complexity and visual style, dark, odd, disorienting, and surreal, led it to be initially misunderstood. But over time, fans began to appreciate its intelligence, its ability to blend science fiction with existential philosophy. Dark City might have been dismissed at first, but now it stands as one of the most thought-provoking and influential films in the sci-fi genre. It's a hidden gem that proves sometimes the most brilliant ideas take a while to catch on, but when they do, they change the landscape forever. Event Horizon, 1997. Imagine being trapped in the deepest void of space, aboard a ship where reality itself begins to unravel. Event Horizon didn't have an easy path. When it was released in 1997, it was criticized for its incoherent story and its intense, disturbing imagery. Critics and audiences didn't know what to make of its haunting premise, and the film quickly became a box office flop. But over time, Event Horizon has become a beloved cult classic, revered for its unique blend of sci-fi and horror. It's a film that challenges what we think we know about fear, blending cosmic horror with psychological terror. The film's depiction of hell in the depths of space, a dimension so twisted it distorts both minds and bodies, has become iconic. Its eerie atmosphere, coupled with stunning practical effects, creates a sense of dread that still resonates with viewers today. The movie explores the consequences of human hubris, the dark corners of our psyche, and the terrifying unknowns of the universe. Event Horizon is now regarded as one of the most influential sci-fi horrors, offering a chilling glimpse into the potential horrors of space exploration. In hindsight, it's clear the film was ahead of its time. What was once considered a disaster has since earned its place in the pantheon of sci-fi horror. It's a disturbing, mind-bending experience that leaves you questioning whether some mysteries are better left unsolved. Johnny Mnemonic, 1995. In 1995, Johnny Mnemonic was a punchline, a quirky cyberpunk film that seemed to predict the future in all the wrong ways. With its depiction of virtual reality, the internet, and data storage, many laughed at the film's over-the-top take on technology. The wild predictions about a future ruled by information seemed at best a stretch, and at worst, absurd. However, and as the world caught up to the film's vision, where corporations control data and virtual spaces are the new frontier, it became clear that Johnny Mnemonic wasn't so much a disaster as it was prophetic. The film captured the anxieties of the growing digital age, foreshadowing issues like online privacy, data ownership, and the rise of virtual worlds. While it wasn't well received at the time, its cyberpunk aesthetic and its vision of a dystopian future became increasingly relevant. What makes Johnny Mnemonic stand out today isn't just its gritty world building or Keanu Reeves' performance, but how accurately it anticipated the world we now live in, a world dominated by technology and information overload. It's a reminder that sometimes the most ridiculous ideas can later be proven right. A film dismissed as campy and dated in the mid-90s is now a cult classic, viewed not just for its entertainment value but for its surprisingly accurate foresight into our digital future. Johnny Mnemonic is a testament to how sci-fi, even in its failures, can shine a light on the path ahead. The Fifth Element, 1997. At first glance, The Fifth Element seemed like a chaotic mix of vibrant colors, absurd humor, and wild sci-fi tropes, making it a divisive film upon its release in 1997. Critics were perplexed, with many dismissing it as nothing more than a superficial space opera with questionable dialogue and uneven pacing. For some, it was a visual spectacle with little substance. But over the years, The Fifth Element has gained a passionate following, revered for its boldness, inventiveness, and sheer originality. Luc Besson's film defied convention by blending action, romance, comedy, and philosophy into a futuristic cosmic adventure that had never been seen before. Its quirky characters, dazzling visual effects, and the iconic presence of its lead have made it a definitive piece of 90s sci-fi. The film's narrative may seem outlandish, but it's precisely this unpredictability that makes it stand out. It's a movie that doesn't take itself too seriously, allowing audiences to embrace its oddball charm. Today, The Fifth Element is viewed as a visionary piece of cinema that introduced a new level of fun and creativity to the genre. What was initially mocked for its eccentricity is now praised for its imaginative world-building and commitment to creating something truly unique. It's a rare example of a film that refused to conform to typical genre expectations, and in doing so became a beloved cult classic. This cinematic masterpiece proves that sometimes taking risks and embracing the weirdness can turn a disaster into a legacy. Alien 3, 1992. Alien 3 is a film that was hated by many upon its release in 1992 due to its controversial decisions and production chaos. The film faced immense difficulties behind the scenes, including a revolving door of directors and script rewrites, which left fans disappointed by its dark, bleak tone. Most infamously, it killed off beloved characters from the first two films, a move that angered many fans and led to the film's commercial struggles. However, time has a funny way of changing perceptions. Today, Alien 3 is appreciated for its bold artistic vision and willingness to take risks. The film's grim atmosphere and philosophical undertones about fate, suffering, and the human condition stand in stark contrast to the action-packed escapism of its predecessors. While it may not have the same commercial appeal as Alien or Aliens, Alien 3 is now viewed as an integral part of the franchise, offering a much darker, more introspective look at the universe of the xenomorphs. Its deep exploration of the cost of survival and the existential dread that permeates its world makes it an unforgettable experience. Fans have since come to respect Alien 3 for its uncompromising vision, its refusal to follow the conventions of traditional action films, and its risk-taking in exploring the more somber aspects of the Alien saga. It might not have been the blockbuster that audiences were expecting, but it is now recognized as a complex, haunting piece of cinema that continues to influence the way we approach dark sci-fi stories today. The 13th Floor, 1999. Released in the shadow of The Matrix, The 13th Floor was nearly overlooked and quickly dismissed as another simulation-themed film. Both films explored virtual worlds and the nature of reality, but while The Matrix became a pop culture phenomenon, The 13th Floor was a commercial flop, buried under the weight of its more famous counterpart. At the time, audiences were looking for high-octane action and groundbreaking special effects, and The 13th Floor offered none of that. Instead, it presented a slow-burning, cerebral narrative that focused more on philosophical questions than flashy visuals. But in retrospect, this film deserves much more credit. It delves deeply into the concept of simulated realities, raising questions about identity, memory, and existence. The film's exploration of the nature of consciousness and the potentially infinite layers of simulated worlds feels eerily prescient in today's age of virtual reality and AI. In fact, its subdued approach to sci-fi and its haunting atmosphere make it stand out as one of the most intelligent films about virtual existence ever made. What was initially written off as a Matrix wannabe has now become a cult classic, appreciated for its thought-provoking narrative and its meticulous, noir-inspired aesthetic. The 13th Floor is a film that rewards those willing to look beyond the surface. And in doing so, it transforms from a forgotten relic of the late 90s into a critically underappreciated masterpiece. Gattaca, 1997. Upon its release, Gattaca was a commercial disappointment, overshadowed by the flashy sci-fi blockbusters of the time. But as the years have gone by, this quiet, thoughtful film about a future society driven by genetic engineering has earned its rightful place in the sci-fi canon. Gattaca explores the disturbing implications of a world where genetic predisposition determines an individual's worth, and the film is unflinching in its portrayal of a dystopia where human potential is reduced to mere biology. Its bleak yet hopeful vision, paired with an understated minimalist aesthetic, presents a stark contrast to the more bombastic sci-fi narratives of the 90s. What Gattaca offers or instead is a cautionary tale about the dangers of genetic discrimination and the societal pressure to conform to predetermined standards. Over the years, the film has grown in significance, especially as we move closer to real-world discussions about gene editing and bioengineering. Its relevance has only increased, making Gattaca a film that now resonates deeply with contemporary audiences. The film's nuanced take on human identity, destiny, and free will has made it a standout in the genre. Though it may have been overlooked by many in its time, Gattaca is now widely regarded as one of the most accurate and poignant sci-fi films about genetics and humanity's ethical boundaries. It's a film that deserves far more recognition than it initially received and is now celebrated as a timeless classic. 12 Monkeys, 1995. Ms. Terry Gilliam's 12 Monkeys was initially met with mixed reviews and confusion upon its release in 1995. Its disjointed narrative, surreal visuals, and chaotic time travel plot made it difficult for audiences to follow, and the film's complexities were lost on many who were expecting a more straightforward approach to the sci-fi genre. But over time, 12 Monkeys has grown into a cult classic, recognized for its daring narrative structure and its exploration of fate, free will, and the nature of time. The film's portrayal of a dystopian future ravaged by a deadly virus, paired with Bruce Willis's unforgettable performance as a man struggling to unravel the truth behind his mission, resonates even more strongly today. 12 Monkeys isn't just about time travel, it's about the unraveling of the human psyche and the tension between what we believe to be true and the harsh realities that lie just beneath the surface. What seemed like a chaotic, incoherent narrative is now viewed as a masterpiece of time travel storytelling, with its deep philosophical themes and its disturbing depiction of a world on the brink of collapse. The film's exploration of mental health, societal breakdown, and the consequences of human actions feels more relevant than ever. Today, 12 Monkeys is seen as one of the greatest time travel films ever made, and its legacy continues to grow as audiences discover its layers of meaning and its bold, uncompromising approach to the sci-fi genre. It may have been divisive at first, but it's now firmly cemented as a seminal piece of cinema. Judge Dredd, 1995. When Judge Dredd hit theaters in 1995, it was a box office failure, with many fans of the comic book character frustrated by the film's lighthearted approach to a world of grim law enforcement and dystopian violence. The film's portrayal of the iconic helmeted protagonist without the helmet and its somewhat campy tone turned off many viewers, leading to widespread disappointment. But in the years since, Judge Dredd has undergone a remarkable reappraisal. Its over-the-top violence, chaotic world-building, and high-octane action have found a niche audience who now appreciate its unique take on a satirical authoritarian society. The film's practical effects and grimy, almost cartoonish depiction of Megacity 1, with its towering skyscrapers and seedy streets, have become a defining feature of its appeal. It's a film that embraces its inherent absurdity and revels in its comic book roots, creating a world where corruption runs rampant and the lines between justice and tyranny blur. What Judge Dredd may have lacked in the depth of its social commentary upon its release, it more than made up for in its unapologetic embrace of camp and fun. Today, the film's world-building is celebrated for its high fidelity to the source material, and it stands as a perfect example of 90s sci-fi action at its best. Loud, intense, and wildly entertaining. What was once criticized for being too ridiculous is now revered for its commitment to embracing the bizarre world of Judge Dredd. It may not have satisfied comic fans in 1995, but it's become a cult classic. With its satirical take on justice and its larger-than-life characters standing the test of time. This film is a prime example of how the passage of time can turn a perceived disaster into a beloved cinematic gem. Sphere, 1998. Sphere was a film that audiences and critics alike struggled to connect with when it was first released in 1998. Based on Michael Crichton's novel, it combined elements of psychological horror, sci-fi, and suspense, but its slow pacing, abstract narrative, and complex thematic ideas left many feeling frustrated. Critics called it a bloated mess, a science fiction thriller that didn't live up to its potential. However, over time, Sphere has emerged as a high-concept sleeper hit. Its cerebral exploration of human consciousness, the nature of fear, and the interplay between reality and perception has earned it a devoted following. The film is built around a chilling premise, an alien sphere discovered at the bottom of the ocean, capable of manifesting the deepest fears and desires of those who encounter it. The horror of Sphere isn't the jump scares or external threats, but rather the way it digs into the human psyche, showing how fear can warp reality itself. Today, Sphere is appreciated for its psychological depth and its eerie, high-concept exploration of what happens when our darkest desires come to life. It's a film that challenges its audience to think, to question, and to reflect. What once seemed like an incoherent, slow-moving disaster is now celebrated for its thought-provoking narrative and its ability to unsettle. While its slow pace may still be a hurdle for some, Sphere has found its place as a deeply intelligent, psychological sci-fi thriller. It's a perfect example of a film that was misunderstood at the time, but with the passing of years has earned a reputation as a complex and haunting masterpiece in the sci-fi genre. These sci-fi films, once dismissed as disasters, have proven that time often changes the way we view cinema. What was once misunderstood is now celebrated for its depth, originality, and vision. Which of these movies do you think deserves more recognition? Drop a comment below, hit like, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of underrated classics.